Well, the new Lorwyn cards are finally on Magic Online, so it's time to test them. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and our deck list comes to us from something snazzy, and we are going to be testing Moonshadow today. So this is a 1 mana 7/7 with Menace in theory, but it enters with 6 -1/-1 counters on it. Whenever one or more permanent cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere while it has -1 counters on it, you remove a -1 counter from it. So your things like fetch lands and Lotus Petals can turn into long-term pump spells for Moonshadow, which has some pretty dope art, by the way. But we are going to seek to use it in a more unfair capacity today, as we can rip the counters off it completely with either Vampire Hexmage or Mutated Cultist. And these cards also combo with Dark Depths and Overlord of the Balemurk. This is a completely untested list, but conceptually it looks pretty sound to me, and I'm excited to give this one a shot. There is one kind of oddball card in the sideboard. There is an Emrakul here. Show and Tell is relatively popular right now, so this is a silver bullet for that matchup. And I guess in theory, I guess in theory, you could remove 10 counters from Dark Depths with Mutated Cultist, make Emrakul cost 10 less, and it wouldn't be absolutely crazy to cast an Emrakul in this deck, but it would be pretty tough. The other thing this can do is keep you from milling out against a Painter Servant Grindstone deck. Moonshadow is a card that I expect to test in a couple of different shells over the next couple of weeks, and if you have other Lorwyn cards that you want to see on the channel, the donation decklist queue is open, and I would love to get some sick brews onto the channel, especially if you've done a little bit of testing and you know, like, hey, this card is good. I want to get eyeballs on that sort of stuff. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into a league here. Folks, if you find you need any Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. When you do so, you'll get free shipping, great customer service, and some sweet Magic the Gathering cards. Go get your Lorwyn stuff. With that being said, let's battle. Okay, I'm willing to keep this one here. I have turn 2 Vampire Hexmage and Dark Depths. I don't have long-term persistent mana, and if my Hexmage gets countered, it's a little awkward. I think this is just Polluted Delta and pass, leaving up Fatal Push for something like a... well, a Tameo would have happened already, like a Painter's Servant. Ooh, volume is very loud on my end. Let's turn that down. Beautiful. We've got the fetch. Second Underground Sea immediately. And Baleful Strix. You bet. I will probably just go ahead and Fatal Push that at end of turn, simply to use my mana and to keep my opponent from getting in with a Kaito or something like that. So let's fetch, grab a Swamp, say goodbye to Strix. Another Dark Depths. We're going to go ahead and play Lotus Petal. Play a Vampire Hexmage. We're going to do this without showing Dark Depths. Opponent counters anyway, unfortunately. We'll throw down a Dark Depths. If I draw an Urborg... Well, actually, if I draw any black-producing land, I have Hexmage. If I draw an Urborg, I have Mutated Cultist. Oh. Alright, opponent not going for the removal of Dark Depths here. Moonshadow, huh? I could immediately turn this into a 2/2. I don't know that I want to do that. It's just awkward because my opponent does just have Bowmaster's mana available, which I guess would kill the Dark Depth stuff anyway. It is Fatal Push instead. Sure. Moonshadow triggers itself. Good job, Moonshadow. We've got a Brainstorm. Third Underground Sea now. Another Strix. Okay. We are moving up to something nice. So here's a Vampire Hexmage. Days is rough. I wanted to finesse this where, like, I can leave Vampire Hexmage in play, cast Mutated Cultist, rip the counters off of Dark Depths, and then end up with the Merit Lage through Wasteland. Looted Delta. Baleful Strix comes on in. We have a lot of time as of right now. Until something more threatening like a Kaito or a Barrowglyph comes into play, like, this is not bad. Oh, that was a Murktide Regent. Sure, Dark Ritual is fine here. I will go ahead and use this Dark Ritual. I will cast a Mutated Cultist. Is there any restriction about where these counters need to come from? No, there's not. I can use the first one to rip the counters off Murktide Regent, use the second one for Mutated Cultist. Nah. I think I'm still just going to go for this like this. And then any mana source gives me the 20/20. Alright, sure. So we didn't actually remove the counters, meaning that is still full price. But now I can throw down the Dark Depths and attempt to do this again next turn. Hopefully. Shit. Opponent has my number here. I'm expecting second Murktide Regent, given that my opponent did not max out on the counters on the previous turn. I will take 8 here, going to 10. My opponent has lethal next turn. Thoughtseize is not going to do it. We'll take a peek over there in case there's something cool. There is not. I don't know how well this is going to line up for me, with like blockers for Merit Lage, In Abundance, Wasteland, presumably Shoulder's Edict style cards as well. I'm not sure how much I care about my opponent's hand. I think I care more about the like Murktide Regents and Tamios that kill me literally or effectively. I think I'm into that. Outer Keg doesn't hit Tamio that turns into a Planeswalker. Could be a way to clear clues. I don't know that I care about that. I think I am ending up keeping one of these just to round out the 60. This could really use a second land. It's quite aggressive. I don't know that I give up that much power, and like I can grow them the next turn, hopefully cycling this as well. So yeah. I think I opt to play this immediately so that it can attack next turn. So this triggers the Moonshadow. Okay, opponent does Force of Will the second one, which grows the first one. Opponent would have been better off countering the first one, although there's no way that would have been clear at the time. Okay, I think I'm doing this. So land drop, fetch, trigger, swamp, impending. This is going to mill 4 cards. Hexmage turns this into a creature immediately without requiring me to hit another land drop. I think I'm into that. So this triggers the Moonshadow, which on turn 2 is attacking as a 5/5. That's proof of concept. Please don't fatal push this. It's so cool. Nice. And then the Overlord starts ticking down. Surveilling. This card's hot. I like this card. It has consigns for my on-cast triggers as well. Unfortunate. I think this is a 7/7 next turn. A good portion of the time. Overlord trigger plus Hexmage. So cast Hexmage. Conceptually, when I was evaluating Moonshadow, I was thinking about things going into the graveyard from play, but the fact that this happens from the stack as well is gross. Like, Moonshadow is going to be a 3-turn clock here if my opponent does not remove it. They did. Moonshadow triggers itself again. I would like to spellbomb my opponent's graveyard at this stage before they play a Murktide Regent. Request denied. I'm not great at removing Murktide. So this does not produce mana right now. Unfortunately, I will get this into play. I can cycle it next turn if I miss on everything else. Urborg would be great. Then Barrowglyph is castable. Taking 8 here. So Barrowglyph, not castable off Dark Depths. Bowmasters doesn't actually do anything here. I think I cycle this immediately. Draw my card. Alright, that gets me to Barrowglyph next turn. We'll do that while surveilling. Barrowglyph next turn isn't good enough, though, is it? Because I will play it and then die to Murktide. This will put me to 3-2 after I fetch. I want to find something that produces Merit Lage. Ooh, losing this land is a big deal. Yeah. Now it's got to be Vampire Hexmage, and no Daze or Force of Will, or Sheoldred's Edict. Yeah, losing that land means Mutated Cultist is not live. Very unfortunate. Don't think Overlord does anything here. Cast it in case I'm wrong. I just have no mana to cast anything here. Yep, I mean, we just got tempoed out there, but we did something sweet. I'll take it. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, this is a weird hand. I think double turn 2 Moonshadow is gonna be pretty cool. So I think we're just putting a small Barrogoyf into play under the hope that it grows 2 Moonshadows next turn. Windswept Heath, Basic Forest, some sort of Mana Dork, Elvish Reclaimer, what are we doing? Yeah, Mana Dork. Oh, nice. Nice. So there's Moonshadow. There's Moonshadow. I will give my opponent the opportunity to block with the Dryad Arbor if they want. I don't think they will. So now we just want to hit a permanent card here. Mill 2. Success. Get an Overlord to hand. Trigger the Moonshadows. 2/2s immediately. Now I will go ahead and just snuff out the Dryad Arbor for tempo. It's turn 2, and I have 6 power in play that will probably pretty close to double next turn. Like, this is a 3 immediately when the creature hits the graveyard. I'm going to Overlord. Certainly grow all 3 of these creatures by 1. Maybe Goyf by 2. We've got a new Mana Dork from my opponent. A Bojuka Bog. Okay. That doesn't actually shrink the Goyf by too much. That's not bad. Oh. I mean, yeah. So there's Vampire Hexmage. There's Dark Depths. Sacrifice this. Trigger Moonshadows. Dark Depths is now going to go away, producing a 20/20, growing both copies of Moonshadow. I am attacking for 10 points of damage while also creating the fucking Aang token that I'm upset about. Barrogoyf triggers, mill 2 cards, yes. Moonshadows trigger. I gotta screenshot this board. All right, social media screenshot prepared. Opponent could natural order for an Atraxa, and I would just attack with 2 menace creatures and kill my opponent. Badger Mole Cub. See what the follow-up play is. There is a natural order. There is an Atraxa. I guess the Badger Mole Cub means that my opponent can actually block. I guess every timeline where my opponent does not block Merit Lage, they die, right? Yeah, even if I view their life total as 14, if they block a Moonshadow, that's not getting through Merit Lage. So I think I can just turn all of these sideways. Overlord can put 1 counter on the Moonshadows right now. Not sure if that actually matters. If I assume block, take 10 versus take 12 still leaves them alive. I might get something that I can play immediately off of Goyf. Shove. Yep. Makes sense. Oh, wait. No. Sorry, I'm silly. This is always getting blocked. I should have done that. The 2 damage is probably not relevant, but was optimal. Right, there's Vampire Hexmage. Trigger. There's Dark Depths. Overlord ticks down. And we win that one pretty easily. I think I could have optimized a little harder there. GG. Snuff Out seems awesome here. I don't know that I need Leyline. Powder Keg feels slow. Spellbomb can do some stuff. I don't know that I want to sideboard much. It kind of feels like I'm good. I have a bunch of ways to make a 20/20. I'm going to have 8 1-mana or free removal spells for creatures. It feels like as long as I don't get got by natural order, there's a very good chance that I end up overwhelming my opponent. But I think the board matters more than the hand. I could not treat Bowmasters as a removal spell here and remove that. I could remove 2 Thoughtseizes. I could trim a couple of Overlords. Might get rid of the Bowmasters. Snuff Out is like Bowmasters, but it's free instead of 2 mana. I think I'm just going to keep the entire set of Thoughtseizes on the draw. This is fine. I might not be using Dark Ritual on turn 1. I'm going to see where this goes. Like, I can Dark Ritual Goyf, I can Dark Ritual Moonshadow Hexmage, do this onto... Like, I've got options. My opponent will have a Dryad Arbor. Ooh. Ignore Moonshadow, Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Hexmage, turn 2 Dark Depths. That all sounds kind of nice. So, yeah. Yeah. Wasteland. Unfortunate for me. I think I'm still taking the natural order. And I think I'm still playing this out on the off chance that my opponent does their turn in a way where they do like double Badger Mole Cub instead of leaving open Wasteland. I suppose I also have lines where I rip counters off of my opponent's lands. Oh, it is happening. They're going to try to set up to Wasteland multiple times. Now they can play another Badger Mole Cub or Fiend Artisan here. Yes. I guess I technically could attack here. Let's put a Moonshadow into play before I take my actions here. Send in with Vampire Hexmage. Opponent takes the damage. Then I will grow Moonshadow twice while making a 20/20. And we'll see what sort of crimes my opponent can do to me with Fiend Artisan. Oh, no crimes. It feels like they should be able to tutor up something that at least blocks some sort of Endurance, Birds of Paradise type thing and buy the time. But that was dominant. That felt really good. GG's. These Dark Ritual hands are pretty cool. So I can Moonshadow and grow it immediately. I'm not sure if that's better than just throwing down Barrowgoyf, making my opponent deal with that, and then trying to start growing the Moonshadow the following turn. Hopefully we play actual games of Magic and are not paired against Oops All Spells here. Because if we are, we just die. Land drop, Dark Ritual. I think I am going to throw down the Goyf immediately. The Dark Depth stuff we're doing right now is pretty cool, but like Moonshadow Douthie Voidwalker, for example, is also kind of hot. An Unholy Heat kills the Goyf. You've got it. So my opponent is a fair deck on a double mulligan. Oh, give me a Bowmaster as a draw. Rats. I will just go ahead and play this and pass the turn. And then my opponent can double bobble, not to be confused with bubble bobble, and take their redraws. I think if my opponent plays a creature, I will just Fatal Push it immediately. I have a lot to do with my mana in my hand right now. My creatures will relatively quickly get outside of the range of Lightning Bolt. Not super up to date on exact blue-red lists right now. I went out of town for about 4 days over the weekend, but previously it was 1 to 2. Alright, opponent has a fetch land, no creature. There's a Dark Depths. I will go ahead and Impending in an attempt to get in for a little more with Moonshadow. That's a Daze. I still get to grow Moonshadow once, which is cool. I do just wish the Dark Depths was a regular mana source right now. Like, working towards doing this, playing that around Daze is very strong. But my opponent's not going to be awesome at answering a 20/20. But like, my opponent is not feeling their mulligan very much. Like, it sucks. It's still a mulligan to 5, but I did not get any card advantage out of my first 2 card advantage plays, and I went down a card to my Dark Ritual, which did not end up being effective. We are fully outside of red removal range with this, though. Wasteland is fine. Opponent does it now, which allows for no trickery on my end, but does grow Moonshadow. Opponent does not know that they do not have to play around Thespian stage. New Bobble. No threat yet. Redraw? Rats. I think I just cast this to see if my opponent counters it. If they counter it, I get in for 1 more point of damage. And if they don't counter it, I can also just think about turning this into a 7/7. I don't think it is correct to do that until this is already out of lightning bolt range, though. This is good enough for a response from my opponent. So I am in play. I am not lightning boltable. I think I am willing to go ahead and just go in on this and send in for 7. Opponent to 10. This kills in 2 turns and can attack through something like a Murktide Regent pretty easily. Don't care about this with Fatal Push here. I'll send in. Ooh, opponent is responding. I don't know what that is going to be. Okay, it's nothing. Opponent to 2. Barrogoyf is better if my opponent has Brazen Borrower. Fatal Push is better if my opponent has any sort of counterspell. I think I'm just going to Fatal Push this creature. I think I wait. I think I'll do that in upkeep. Possible that card just fully doesn't matter, but every cantrip that my opponent casts gives them very good value off of it. My opponent now needs Land Brainstorm. Or sorry, Land Brazen Borrower, or they die to Moonshadow immediately. On top of that, they also probably need Force Blue card. There's 4 very specific things to ask for in my opponent's 4 cards. That's a Delver. Okay. So I think Moonshadow kills them now. Unless there's something real weird I'm not thinking of. Yeah. GG. I am interested in more removal. That seems like Snuff Out and Spellbomb. That's 3 Thoughtseizes. And then Powder Keg is a thing I could do. It's a little weird that the Powder Keg on 1 kills my Moonshadows. I don't love that. I also don't love giving up points of life where I have a robust endgame if I don't get tempoed out. I could turn Thoughtseize into Duress. I don't know that that's good. Powder Keg on the draw also feels very slow. Powder Keg is something I can crack to grow Moonshadow when I'm not doing it on 1. I guess sometimes I do that on 0 to clear tokens. Versions that have Delver tend to have fewer copies of Corey Steelcutter, though. I don't know. I don't always have Moonshadow. Let's keep the Powder Keg. That's not terrible. Unsure whether or not I actually want to use Dark Ritual on turn 1. Like, on turn 2, I can have 4 mana to... Ooh. That's a decent argument to just do this quickly. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, trigger, go. I'm also just under no pressure here. I might just make a land drop and pass. Make days worse. You may do that. Redraw. Back to 7 in hand. Volcanic Island. My opponent is just chilling. Fascinating. Never mind what I said about days. Dark Ritual resolves. Dark Depths, Mutated Cultist, trigger, target Dark Depths, show me your consign or Brazen Borrower. Artlage in play? Mutated Cultist in play? They always have the Brazen Borrower. That is 2 untapped mana. They always have the Brazen Borrower. Oh well, we'll just have to play an Overlord of the Balemurk grindy attrition game, where I still have my next couple of land drops secured anyway. So that's fine. Land drop 3 from my opponent. They're just passing the turn. That's fine. Snuff Out is cool. Get in there, little buddy. 18. Touch. And while I would prefer not to get dazed, I think I will just cast this, given that I have a couple of them. Oh, it's full on Force of Will instead. I'll take that. Getting a Murktide, too. Fantastic. So my opponent is fetching. If they play Brazen Borrower, I don't know that I snuff it out immediately, because Snuff Out can kill a Brazen Borrower, assuming that I get Revolt. Like, Fatal Push can get this, but Fatal Push can't get a follow-up Murktide Regent. So I might just take a little damage here in hopes of using Fatal Push instead of Snuff Out. Now, that becomes awkward if things go poorly for me. I think I'm okay gambling at least 3 life on that. All right, there's a Delver. Now, that's something that dies to Fatal Push and Snuff Out. Now I think I am snuffing out Brazen Borrower and Fatal Pushing Delver. Snuff out. Alright, success. Multiple Fatal Pushes. I think that means I actually do you first, so that you are done around days. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Cultist is an on-cast trigger that would give me an Overlord. I'm into that. Attempt to push Delver. That is a daze. And I'm assuming that Delver flips to the Brainstorm that my opponent cast. So I'm going to go ahead and attack in. Drop my opponent to 15. My opponent now needs a Wasteland or I get active Overlord. And Mutated Cultist can also rip counters off of Unholy Heat. You have 4 thingies. Artifact, land, instant, creature. Yeah, you do have 4 thingies. There's a 6/6 Murktide Regent that I might need to just rip the counters off of. I'll take 3 here. Unholy Heat is super inconvenient for me. The base damage of taking 6 here is still a 2-turn clock. Ugh, Unholy Heat covering this. Oh, it doesn't cover it anymore. Find another Mutated Cultist for the following turn. If I take 6 either way, I think I leave the Murktide here. Just go ahead and Fatal Push you. Send in for my 1 point of damage. Bowmaster at some point in my opponent's turn. Maybe they use the Unholy Heat on that. 14. Maybe I just needed to get Barrowgoyf. Instead of trying to set up something cool. Take 6. End of turn Bowmaster. Ping my opponent. Down to 13. Die to Lightning Bolt? I think I'm okay with Die to Lightning Bolt. Enough out. 3 card types in graveyard for Unholy Heat purposes. 3 mana, Mutated Cultist on Overlord. Die to Lightning Bolt. Alright, I accept. GG. I already have my Spell Bomb for helping to cover Unholy Heat. Still medium on Powder Keg. I think I'll keep it. Land drop, Moonshadow. Turn to Delta, 2/2. Hexmage. Maybe gets countered. 3/3, potentially 4/4. I think this is unexciting. I don't think it is a mulligan, but I do think it is unexciting. I guess I'll play this out on the off chance that there's some weirdo red removal spell that does 1 damage to every creature, but I don't expect this to be relevant. And this may be me bleeding information that I don't need to bleed. Could change the evaluation of a daze my opponent sees off a cantrip, for example. Alright, there's the fetch. Unholy Heat immediately. That is 2 damage. I can only put 1 thing into graveyard, unfortunately. Thank you for triggering Moonshadow. We appreciate your service. That is a lot of Vampire Hexmage in a way that I do not like. They could become very good, but as of right now, they are 2/1 attackers. Oh wow, I got a Force of Will for one of those. Love that. Wasteland is now chilling. So I should not have played that land prior to the Vampire Hexmage. That was a mistake. I think I'm playing the second one of these. I think this is currently a beatdown creature race. I don't have any manipulation or tutors to help with finding Dark Depths. And a bunch of my other stuff like the Overlord doesn't mind if the Vampire Hexmages are just chilling in play. Alright, opponent also recognizing that this is currently a beatdown race, opts to Brainstorm in upkeep. Delver flips to a Bolt. I will take 3, which is no big deal. No further land drops from my opponent. So I'll crash in for 4, and then try to do something cool with a Surveil land. Yeah. Opponent to 14. So this is going to be pretty tight. Like, I know that my opponent has a Lightning Bolt. So, like, I have the next attack, but my opponent has 3 floating damage at any given time that can also just be a removal spell for one of these. Let's Surveil. That's a redraw? I think the redraw that makes Murktide worse is totally fine. I think I'm just going to crash in with both of these first, see if my opponent wants to put that Lightning Bolt into the graveyard before I show Spell Bomb. Yeah? Alright, and they are going to do that. They will take 2 instead. Going to 12. Then I'll throw down Spell Bomb. Sacrifice it. Take the redraw that makes Murktide worse. Pick up Fatal Push. Fatal Push the onboard Delver. Opponent thinks about it and does Force of Will, junking a Daze. I am fine playing the Urborg here. If my opponent wants to Wasteland me when I'm on 5 lands, they are welcome to do so. Putting Wasteland into graveyard for something like Murktide Regent is already like covered via Underground Mortuary anyway. Opponent now has a slow redraw. Probably not what they are looking for right now. I think my opponent is currently favored, but it's pretty close. We both have some very high power top decks here. I'm at 9. They get a redraw. Swamp is not what I'm looking for. I'll send in. I'm going to hold this as a bluff. Opponent has another land drop as well. 6 is scary because 6 is this plus Lightning Bolt, and I'm dead. We're going to hardcast that Snuff out. I'm not willing to pay the life on that one. We've flooded a little bit here. That's okay. There's the Snuff out. Alright, opponent is going to look for an answer. Got a fetch. I can pay for something like a Spell Pierce. Okay, I have resolved my spell. That's good. Land drop Murktide would not be great. Alright, there's a new threat. 2 other cards in hand. Dark Ritual is not what I'm looking for. In theory, this Delver is flipping that Brainstorm, right? Or did they fetch? No, they have fetched. This is random. I could hold back here, and the times where Delver does not flip, I can block it. It might just be better for me to attack still. I think I will still attack. On it to 4. Then 3. Surveil Land helps with a Delver flip. Bobble to graveyard. That was something that didn't flip Delver. Delver is less good at naturally flipping in these decks that have a bunch of things like Bobble and Corey Steelcutter. Yeah, that's another Bobble. I'm scared here. Opponent also has something that has been in their hand for a few turns that they are not casting, and there's a decent chance that it is just a Lightning Bolt. Attack for 1, Lightning Bolt doesn't kill me, though. It has to be Delver Flip as well. So this happens. Deck. Alright. I am worried that like a Brazen Borrower can also just kill me here. Yeah, they are going for that on the Hexmage rather than potentially killing me with it. They don't have 2 bolts or I'm dead now. Delver triggers another land drop. Would have been a crazy good Bowmasters. Down to 4. 1 turn too late. Put it in play, I guess. I got Price of Progress already kills me with Urborg Mortuary in play, so Dark Depths doesn't change that math. Also, opponent can't cast Price of Progress, they kill themselves. Alright, no end of turn play. Delver does not flip. A second Wasteland, sure. Load of mana. Delver comes in, I've got nothing. Down to 3, Lightning Bolt now kills me. Delver Flip now kills me. There's a Hexmage. I died to Delver Trigger. And a Consign. That was unfortunate. I just needed a payoff card at some point this game. No Overlord, no Barrogoyf was rough for us. GG's. Feel from the future here. A minute or 2 into this round, my Cat Poe is going to step on the power strip, and I'm going to lose power. I believe that I have repaired the recording and made it so that everything is going to be okay, but if you notice any little hiccups or me repeating some stuff, whoops. Alright, I'm into this. Opening hand has 2 Moonshadows. I can scale them both up on turn 2 with Marsh Flats. I think we're looking at bam, 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 bam. Possible I could Thoughtseize on 1. Given that my opponent is probably going to play an Ancient Tomb next turn to go with this, I think I'm going to put a Moonshadow into play to start attacking with it as quickly as possible. I'll go to 2. No, it is a Seat instead. Patchwork Automaton. So my opponent can scale that up a bit. Shadow Spear could potentially be a problematic card that my opponent fetches out via an Urza Saga. Ooh, I think this can be next turn. So there's Moonshadow. Fetch. Scale up both copies of Moonshadow. Get Swamp. Thoughtseize you. Oh. The remainder of the hand is not good. Send in for 2. You target the permanent, right? Venice. So I can technically remove the counters from Patchwork Automaton, but that might not actually accomplish what I want to accomplish. So is it Shadow Spear? If it's a haste one instead, and my opponent just wants to attack me with a 5/5, I just snuff that out immediately and move on with my merry life. Play a Barrogoyf. Oh wow, Spellbomb instead. Sure. Well, I don't have a way to put a permanent into my graveyard right now, so I will just take this hit. 14. Lotus Petal. Always land drop. Always Lotus Petal. I think this is just 3 mana, Mutated Cultist. Remove all of the counters from one of these. Alright, opponent is just gonna go ahead and junk that one then. Now I don't successfully scale that up. I will sack Moonshadow, or rather sack Lotus Petal, replay a Moonshadow. I think I'm fine sending in with this. Still probably going to end up snuffing out that token. I don't think I have to do it yet though. I'll go up to 2. Another land drop, for sure. Opponent sends in with both. I'm going to go ahead and confirm that this construct token dies. And it does. Now I will block with my Death Toucher. This will take out Patchwork Automaton and scale up both of my creatures. These expendable Death Touch creatures are like kind of cool with the Moonshadows. So there's Barrogoyf. 6/7. Small children in the chat are excited. Send in for 6. Opponent goes to 9. Opponent makes a decent sized token. They've used their Spellbomb already. They are gonna have 2 7/7 bodies. What sort of equipment or other thing are we working with now? Boots. Boots can force my Barrogoyf to block. Looks like opponent has erred on the side of not attacking at all. So if I attack, my opponent technically doesn't have to block. But alright. My cat just shut off my power. So here we are. If I send in and a Moonshadow is blocked, I get in for 8 damage. Potentially do some other things. I'm about to lose the game due to inactivity, so I just have to make a play here. And we'll see if I'm able to recover the other half of the video. Send it. Okay. The opponent is going to take 6. These will trigger the Moonshadows, which hopefully will... One of them gets through next turn to kill my opponent. I don't have anything to do with the Dark Ritual as of right now. So opponent gets 1 redraw. I control a fair number of artifacts. I don't know that they're going to smack me for 16 or anything, but stranger things have happened. In case I don't recover the video, a summary of this round was that I played double Moonshadow very early on and Thought Seized, and very aggressively just did damage to my opponent. They were able to Aether Spellbomb, bounce some of my stuff, but it was not enough. GG's. I am interested in Null Rods, Powder Keg, probably Snuff Outs. I'm not so much interested in the Thought Seizes that do not impact the board. Bowmaster's not crazy either. My opponent has some redraws, but this is probably not a true 8-cast build that just has Thought Casts and Thought Monitors. Accordingly, I think I will trim one of those. This has all the potential in the world. So, land drop, Dark Ritual, Overlord, 1 mana floating, potentially play something else cool. I think I just mulligan it, though. Oh, no. No! We're so close. 1 land and we're there. We are going to 5. I think around 5 I kind of have to stop being picky. So this is probably turn 1, Dark Ritual, Overlord, get lucky, Moonshadow maybe, turn 2, Vampire Hexmage, turn this into a Deuter. I think I am fine with this. I think I'm going to get rid of the 2nd Overlord and the Fatal Push, because this is a mulligan to 5. I also think not expecting Wasteland here. Okay, there's Pinnacle Emissary. I probably play Urborg on 1 in case I Dark Depths on 2. More friends? More friends? Kappa Cannoneer online already, by the way. Disruptor Flute, sure. Old call on Moonshadow. The fear. Oh, remember how I talked about how, like, Urborg was the correct play there, and then I just didn't fucking do it? I remember. Dark Ritual. Overlord with Impending. Cultist or Barrogoyf? Probably Barrogoyf. Now, these can only block creatures with flying, so I can just start getting in with this next turn, which is cool. Alright, opponent's redraw. Patchwork Automaton. Sure, that's something that can block Overlord. But my opponent doesn't have that many cards in hand right now, so I'm not, like, terrified of that. I'm more scared of the pile of drone tokens that, like, could race me if I don't hit land drops for Barrogoyf. Hey, remember everything that I outlined earlier in the video and then didn't do? I remember. Although, admittedly, the 2020 is not great versus 4 flying blockers. But I could be representing it. So now, junk all the counters here. Is it correct to not attack? It might be correct to not attack, in which case I should not have sacrificed the Vampire Hexmage yet. This line is worse versus Spellbomb. Classic. Alright, I take a decent amount of damage here. This game might still be recoverable. So there's Dark Depths, which does tap for mana. There's Barrogoyf. That wall's Patchwork Automaton. Hopefully I just gain a bunch of life, stabilize the board, and produce a flyer next turn to help out with these. But another bounce spell on Barrogoyf gets me. Suspicious. Yeah, that's more like what I expected. I will take 4, going to 4. And now let's see what we can make happen with Barrogoyf attack. Yeah. Alright, opponent is going to block as to not let me get extra things. That's reasonable. A Dismember. Sure. Seems good. Guess that's a reason to play a Vampire Hexmage pre-combat. So now I can produce a body. It's very easy for me to produce 1 body. I think I need 2 bodies. I think that means hitting Bowmasters, my Singleton Bowmasters, off an Overlord trigger. Yeah. Did not hit. So I can, like, block Patchwork, make a large creature of some kind, but I can't do 2 blocks here, so I am going to die. Okay. I think if I do the things that I talked about, I might be able to stabilize this one, but it would be close. GG. I'm going to run back things the same way. Nope. Second hand probably goes wild. I think I keep this. I'll throw back one of the 2 copies of Dark Depths here. Opponent also mulliganing. Land drop. Dark Ritual. Moonshadow. Overlord with Impending. Mill 4. Mutated Cultist next turn is cool. Trigger Moonshadow. I will play a Lotus Petal. And then pass. This feels very, very strong. Overlord ticks down. That land costs my opponent some life. Tormod's Crypt is fine. This Petal is fine. Yeah. My opponent is playing out these artifacts, but is not getting immediate value out of Patchwork Automaton or Pinnacle Emissary, so that is a win for me as a whole. Now there's a Patchwork Automaton, which is going to start scaling up. So, yeah. Bam, bam. This is worth the Lotus Petal. Cultist trigger, I think just on the Overlord directly. I can probably keep attacking in with the Moonshadow, assuming that I have other things going on. Opponent could Tormod's Crypt here. They're going to Overlord trigger. There's another Moonshadow. There's also a Vampire Hexmage. I'm going to take that. And I can consider doing something with the Vampire Hexmage Dark Depths. I think I like the way that I'm approaching this game, where I don't, like, make it harder to cast my future spells. It seems like what I have on board is quite strong. Emery? There's redraws there, but I don't know that that's all that exciting. My opponent also only has 1 card in hand at this point. Okay, so despite a punt on my end in game 2 that was pretty bad, and a cat-related power outage, I do come out ahead here. What's my overall record now? Yeah, 2-2, that's totally fine. GG's. All right. Opening hand seems solid. Turn 1 Moonshadow, turn 2 Scale It, play Overlord, turn 3 Mutated Cultist or Barrowgoyf as is necessary. That's a basic mountain. Don't see that much in this current metagame. Could be Painter, could technically be Moon Stompy. There really isn't a lot of that around though. Second basic mountain. Okay. We are on the fringes. I don't have a good anti-combo hand though. Hopefully Moonshadow can deal a gajillion D damage by itself. Because I am in trouble. Well, the Moonshadow attacks for 3 on turn 2. I can attack for 8 on turn 3. But if my opponent can combo off, like, I'm not a counterspell deck, there's nothing I can do here. Alright, here we go. Anamorphose, Reckless Impulse. We're starting to send cards into exile that my opponent can cast. Sandstone Needle as well. Impulse. Oh gosh, Jessica's Will is a lot of cards right now. I have 6 in hand. Well, we were doing something pretty cool. Like, my hand was very good versus the fair stuff of the format with, like, double Barrowgoyf, Mutated Cultist, multiple scaling threats. I think it's just not going to matter. My opponent's deck does have some fail rate in there. So, like, they're out of stuff in exile, but they still do have 4 cards in hand and are continuing to cast rituals. 10 mana. There's a new-ish red storm card that could be very bad. Oh, it's Burning Wish. It's Burning Wish with no black mana. Grapeshot doesn't kill me yet. There's a big elemental card that my opponent could get. I forget the name of. It makes, I think, dragons. Storm of Memories. That's the one I was thinking of. So this is bad. My opponent can now cast 14 cards from their graveyard. They've got it from here. I am confident. Let's move on to the next one. GG. So, Mindbreak Trap in, Duress in, Spellbomb in, Leyline in, and then, like, we start looking at the dregs of, like, this can technically answer a Ruby Medallion, but is painfully slow at doing so. My opponent doesn't draw all that many real cards. I think I'm going to get rid of Fatal Pushes, despite Ral being a thing. I think it is more important to have cards that are generically useful versus combo here. And I will trim 1 creature of some kind. I don't love my odds here. Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Dark Depths, Mutated Cultist. You kill me on turn 1 or I kill you on turn 2. Seems okay. Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Dark Depths, Mutated Cultist on Dark Depths. There's my turn 1 2020. And you turn 1 me. Hey, there we go. GG's. Plan was perfect. Let's do that again. Yep. I will keep this. I think I probably need 2 Thoughtseize on turn 1 rather than play Moonshadow. I think the disruption just has to come first. Like, I have the opportunity to take a Ruby Medallion or whatever that my opponent is going to play out. Leyline of the Void. You were 1 card away from where I needed you to be, bud. Double Burning Wish. My opponent has 2 mana, 3 mana, 4, 5 mana, 6 mana. It might be that I am trying to bottleneck my opponent on mana here. Like, take Seething Song and Rite of Flame over the course of 2 turns. I'm going to take this Seething Song. My opponent says that they like the channel. Second Moonshadow is cool. Still think I am going to be Thoughtseizing when I have the opportunity to Thoughtseize. I could do a bunch of permutation math, but I'm pretty sure take a card is just fine. Manamorphose. Yeah, I think I'm trying to stick my opponent on mana. My opponent has 3 different payoff cards, so I think that's my route to victory. I also could have gone after a Burning Wish the first turn, a Burning Wish the second turn, but with Storm of Memories there, I don't feel great about that, like leaving my opponent with all of this. So that's 1 counter off of the Sandstone Needle. That's only usable 1 more time. Ren's Resolve. Sends a Rite of Flame to exile. My opponent will cast that, if for nothing else, just to put it into graveyard. This is 5 mana next turn. Storm of Memories is going to be live. Manamorphose again. Oh no. So there's the Storm of Memories with a storm count of 6. These are random, but I suspect that this is just very good. The overall result is probably that my opponent can Burning Wish for another Storm card here. Like they can Manamorphose 2 of this into black. Nope. Okay. Manamorph 2, nope. So this ends with my opponent at 19 red mana. I know they have multiple Burning Wishes. Sure. Burning Wish. Or Jeska's Will. That was the best thing? So Jeska's Will there exiles the top 3 cards of library. Nothing deterministic there. Okay. It may be that my opponent just doesn't need much more to Grape Shot me to death, with the Storm count being what it is. Oh, I was already dead to Grape Shot, right? 14 life. Yeah. That's disgusting. Alright. Opponent's got that. GG's. That did not feel like a good matchup. And that was a 2-3 league, but I will say, this league felt like the start of something quite powerful. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Honestly, thumbs up. I liked this one a lot. Moonshadow might not need the support of these cards, though. I think this card just scales up hyper aggressively on its own. It might be a bad top deck on like turn 5, but in your opening hand on like turn 1 or turn 2, this feels very powerful. I think this card is real, and I might just record another league with it right now in a different shell to further test this out. I think this card is exciting. I think this deck threatened to do a bunch of different powerful things. I'm not sure if 4x Thoughtseize is enough to get me through all of the all of the combo in the format right now, but I generally like what I am doing within this deck. Moonshadow, thumbs up. Mutated Cultist, Barrogoyf nonsense that was going on as well, thumbs up. I think I just like this deck. Maybe you can finesse the sideboard a little bit still, though. Like, there are some unconventional choices here that might not fully be bad, but could be optimized further. It may also be that we're a little bad at dealing with Murktide Regent. The 3/3 that we leave around after we rip the counters off of it can still kill us. It may be that the deck needs a couple of removal spells. I don't know, there are just snuff outs. Maybe it has enough removal. Maybe it's fine. I think I'm going to call it there before I just start rambling. Folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you have thoughts about the deck, please throw it in the comments below. I am very excited about some of these new cards, and I'm going to get back to recording more Magic. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!